Hey everyone, welcome back to the A and Q series. This is a series where we're answering questions that lead to more answers, to more questions, well, you see how it works. And along the way, hopefully we make some progress on our spiritual journey. So here's one that's going to stir things up. What is sin? Now, that question really does conjure up all sorts of images in your head, honestly, maybe of some not so helpful stereotypes of people who have in the past called themselves Christians. So you might be thinking, well, is the point now that I'm going to scream something to you about you? No, that's not it. Is the point of this topic to make sure that we all end up feeling terrible about ourselves? That's not it either. I do think the Bible tells us the truth about ourselves and our world while offering incredible hope. See, it's both. It's always both. That's how this works. So let's start here. What I'm about to say applies to all of us, and I mean all of us. A friend of mine pointed me toward a quote from the novel Moby. You remember that one? It's the one in high school that we all said that we read when we... Okay, anyway, here's the quote. "Heaven have mercy on us all, Presbyterians and pagans alike, for we are all somehow dreadfully cracked about the head and sadly need mending." The point, I think, is that it applies to all of us, by the way, not just Presbyterians and pagans, but all of us have something that needs mending. Now, before you think that this is something that only Christians think about, I would invite you to take an even like a quick glance at other world religions, for they will all at least agree on this point. Something's off with us. Here's your next quote. "There's not a religion in the world that doesn't agree something is wrong with us. The question is, what is it, and how do we fix it?" So, what's wrong with us, why we all sadly need mending, is really sin. Now, the Bible in the book of Romans chapter 3 says that there's really no difference between us, for we have all sinned and we all fall short of the glory of God. Now, you scholars out there might remember that this was a concept that Aristotle would use to describe and explain tragedy. This is something that has gone horribly, horribly wrong in the story. In literature, it's the tragic flaw that leads to the fall of the main character. It simply means error or failure. You might have heard it explained this way before, but it comes from a verb that means to miss the target. Like, when an archer misses the bullseye, something's off. Now, maybe to you it doesn't seem that bad, maybe not at first, but it's off the mark, and the longer you go, the further off the mark you get. Now, what if that mark, that goal, that target was God? What if it was God's way? God's plan for you and all of humanity as it stretches into forever with Him? What if we really were made with His imprint on our lives, and there was something about us that longed and wanted to be with Him? If God is the source of life and hope and purpose and everything that is right and good, then when I'm not connected to Him, when I'm going away from Him, I'm going away from life. I'm moving away from all that my soul was made for and longs for at its most fundamental level. See, this isn't an archery class. It's our lives we're talking about. It's our destinies, and God knows how life works best. But our rebellion, rebellion? What are you talking about? So, no, I'm saying that sin is rebelling against God. That's a way to look at it. The root of all my sin is that I reject God as creator. It's me saying to God, I'm the boss of me. I'm the one who knows better. And this does lead us away from Him and into trouble with each other. And we end up scarring our own lives and the lives of others. And really the whole story, now all of creation, is polluted with our selfish, sinful ways. That's why a little bit later in that book of Romans, in chapter 6, life apart from God is described as having a deadness to it. It really is the final outcome of sin, a spiritual deadness that is acted out in the physical world. So that's the truth about us, and really, it's the truth of the long story of humanity. But if that were all of it, that'd be a horrible end to a story, don't you think? Unfortunately, that might be all you've ever heard of the Christian story, but I'm telling you there's more. In fact, there's so much more that we're going to have to keep talking about it in other videos. But let me leave you now with the rest of that first verse about all of us being sinners. Paul, that apostle who wrote those words, knew a thing or two about his own shortcomings, but he also knew of the outrageous offer of life with God it's a life that's restored. That's why he finishes that sentence with the hope and promise of being justified freely by his grace. That's God he's talking about, through the redemption that came by Christ Jesus. So there it is. We will always keep coming back to Jesus in this story, but the brutal honesty of considering our own, sin is actually a huge part of us understanding his great love for us. I hope this helped. If it did, let us know. If you've got other questions, please talk to us in the comment section. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to this channel. We're going to keep answering these questions that lead to more questions, and let's see how God helps us on this journey together. Thanks for being a part of this.